than she was before. She says to sell land she wasn't using anyway. Yeah, well, that sounds all right to me. And there's no way to help Nettie. They're going back. Got a work for you, mister? Introduce her for $4,000 for land she's not using. She pays off her loan. She has $2,000 left. Well, that's all right. And with that money, she might be able to get another doctor for Nettie. Yeah, the doctor cured me once. I had a wart down there on my nose. Besides, you're better off farming. Cattle's a risky business. Risky. Cattle? So, it's off to California, Robert Sullivan. In $2,000 style. What? Well, it's a simple equation, friend. You see, it's common sense against conscience. The conscience is a really bad thing. Right. Now, the trick is to close your mind. Because once you get involved, you're lost. You see, the next thing you know, you'll be helping a little lady across the street. I'm not angry. You ain't feeling too good, but there's a doctor over in Dodge Street. Common sense, Robert. Common sense. Each man is worth his labor. You can labor it. I wouldn't mind drinking to that. Bottles I'll pay for. You'll probably be taking it with you, won't you? On the other hand. The hand might not be a good thing. Streaking out in the hot sun. My friend, let me give you a piece of advice. Never start performing miracles. Because once performed, they seem determined to remain. I'll tell you, I got kind of an interest in this Mr. Sullivan myself. He's wanted in Stillwater. I got a warrant for his arrest.
Well, I've been tracking him, Matthew, and it appears like he's headed back east across them flats.
Let's go.
Oh,
was on my way to pay you boys a visit.
Now, you talk real good, drummer. You got about 30 seconds. My time to get it all set.
Well, Mr. Miller, it occurred to me that you might be blaming Mrs. Wright for what you imagine to be a double cross here.
like you call him.
Shut up, son. I'm just right.
I had to let you know it was none of her doing. There's no sense in making things rough on her.
More sense, skin your hide, maybe you'll agree.
Well, I hear tell Dodge has pretty good law. I don't think it would take the marshal long to tie you and your boys to me turning up looking unhealthy.
Hi, Mommy.
You're under arrest. You're going back to town. He's a thief, a swindler. Why, we was just... Yeah, I just tried to kill him. As far as that Creekwood is concerned, that's going to be the driest piece of land in this state that would have scrubbed.
Once that water's on Mrs. Wright's land, there's nothing you can do about it.
What are you talking about?
The law. Get him into town, Fitz.
Don't.
Alright, Sullivan, that's it. Take it easy now. Here. Wipe your face off of this. Sullivan, you know, you're wanted in Stillwater.
Wanted? I didn't think I was going to say anything.
Say taxi, Marshal. Well, the sheriff over in Stillwater seems to think he's got a case against you. It'll be up to you to prove him wrong. Sullivan, you just don't shoot somebody and then run off.
Well, Marshal, running away is a hard habit to break.
You mind if I use the bathroom?
Sure.
Went by church to give Mr. Brewitt the church address because he was going to send it to Bill. And he had to go, probably at least this far of a ditch. It's down pretty far. I said, you've got a grave. I said, at least for a skinny person. I said, this is big enough to bury somebody in. And of course, a lot of it was like glue. It was goopy. You know, it wasn't dirt. It was goopy.
Wait a minute, please. Some cruise line wants to give us a free cruise if we can tell people about it.
I'm sure we don't make enough money for them to give
It's
us
a free cruise. All we gotta do is work it out.
There's some catch to it. How are we gonna prove we told people about it? How do you prove you told people about it?
How does Gail do what she does? She writes little reports. Send them in.
Anyhow, he had showed me a piece of pipe that was about this long that had stood up. He said, that's a little hole, and it was like the end of a pencil. I mean, it wasn't very big. And then he said, oh, I thought that was it, and then it went on down, and he said, there was another little hole, and then he went on, dug a little bit more, and there was two little holes there. So when that piece
Which
of
means the whole pipe is rusty.
well, there's a pipe sticking out of the ground. It's a rusty pipe sticking out of the ground. He said, you know what this is? I said, you know, I said, it's right in line with where this line is. I said, that could be where Henry fixed it the last time. I said, I bet if you went a few more inches, you'd find plastic pipe. He said, maybe. He said, I don't go any further than I had to because I was digging by hand. But anyhow, he said, if you have another problem, or he said, even to avert another problem, he said, you might want to have John in Franklin when you're probably run it in front of the driveway so you wouldn't have to walk the driveway. said that might be the best thing, just run a new line before it gets, under the building. So that's something you should consider, I guess.
Mary Beth, in my opinion, that is not something that we should wait until the next board meeting for us to move on. Because you don't want this going on, you don't want it to be up before your 6 years. So it needs to be
Well, I don't
worked on
think-
quickly.
This is from the Australian
Can I have a moment, Marshall? This is right. Well, I'd like to say that I have the highest regard for you. One way of putting it.
He said, I don't know why one second.
So do we. Sullivan, we owe you so much.
Oh. Well, the debt is mine.
Will you be coming back, Mr. Sullivan? We want you to. Me too.
Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog?
Well, of course I'll be coming back. But just to make sure there's no slip-ups, let's all close our eyes and wish it to be so.
Mine's closed. Mine too. Me too.
Oops, sorry, puppy. Where's Mommy going now?
They would like to make a deal. I know they'd like to make a deal. They'd like to do it, but they'd like to do it on certain. burden's too high. You gotta let more go. You know that. I would call the Crown Prince and I'd say, you gotta help us out. You gotta get some more. And all of a sudden the oil starts flowing and the gasoline prices are down. No other president can do that. No other president was able to do that, or maybe they didn't try. But I've done it. So now they're under attack, and we will work something out with them. But they also know that, you know, I'm not looking to get into new conflict, but sometimes you have to.
Mr. President, what's your message to Iran right now?
Excuse me?
What's your message to Iran right now?
I think I'll have a stronger message, or maybe no message at all, when we get the final results of what we're looking at. But right now, it's too soon to say. There's plenty of time. You know, there's no rush. We'll all be here a long time. There's no rush. But I'll have a message, whether it's a strong message or maybe no message at all, depending on the final results.
You worried about the risk of an all-out war in the Middle East?
I'm not concerned at all.
You don't think we're a step closer to
No,
that?
I'm not. Personally, I'm not concerned at all. We have military power, the likes of which the world has never seen. I'm not concerned at all. I'd like to avoid it. You know, when I came here 3 years ago almost, General Mattis told me, sir, we're very low on ammunition. I said, that's a horrible thing to say. I'm not blaming him, I'm not blaming anybody, but that's what he told me. Because we were at a position where with a certain country, I won't say which one, we may have had conflict. And he said to me, sir, if you could, delay it, because we're very low on ammunition. And I said, you know what, General, I never want to hear that again from another general. No president should ever, ever hear that statement. We're low on ammunition. And we now have more ammunition, more missiles, more rockets, more tanks, we have more of everything that we've ever had before. More jet fighters. When I came here, 50% of our jet fighters didn't fly, you know that. And they were in bad shape, and now we have the best fighters in the world. Everybody wants to buy them. Are you buying our jet fighters?
We are, sir.
Which one?
The F-16.
That's great.
Signed it here.
You have good taste.
Thank you.
That's a great one. So we are very high on ammunition now. That's a story I've never told before. Breaking news. But we were very low. I could even say it stronger. I don't want to say no ammunition, but that gets a lot closer. I said, I never want to hear that again, and I never want another president of the United States to hear that again. Can you imagine as president when they say we're very low on ammunition? By the way, stronger than that, but I'm not going to go there. That was what I was told. And I said, I never want to be in a position like that again. And he said, could you delay, if we do something, sir, could you delay it as we fill up? And that is what I inherited from the past administration, and in all fairness to President Obama, to administrations before President Obama. That's what I got stuck with. And we fixed it, and we fixed it good. The Crown Prince understands 700 billion, the next year 718 billion, and the next year, which is right now, we just got approved, $738 billion. And that's a lot of money even for Bahrain, right?
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot even for Bahrain, and Bahrain has a lot of money. Okay? How does that affect the timing of the renewal peace plan? Well, we're going to have to see what happens, Steve. I just don't know. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can make a prediction. I sort of have a feeling, but we're going to have to see what happens. It's a big election. That's one we're all going to be watching. Well, certainly he has a good chance, but it's a very, it's a 50-50 election. A lot of people, if you look at the polls and everything else, it's going to be very close. So we'll see what happens. Polls are often wrong.
They now call for annexing all settlements in the West Bank. That's something the government would do.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that, but certainly it's something we were told about that they'd like to do. But no, I don't want to be talking about that. It's too soon.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on why the decision was taken yesterday to release the strategic reserves? Why did you decide right away?
Well, just in case we ran a little bit low on oil, we have so much with the strategic reserves, plus being the #1 producer, we can fill them up very quickly, very, very quickly. And one of the things I'm doing also is I'm improving the pipelines in Texas. We have a tremendous pipeline system that's being held up by various agencies for a very good reason, for going through the normal process. And we're gonna have to avoid the normal process, because if we do that, Texas is a massive distributor, massive producer of oil, far bigger than anybody would have even thought 5 years ago. So what I'm gonna do is expedite the pipeline approvals. That will get us another 25% energy, additional energy. I know this is exactly the opposite of the Democrats. They want to have wind, solar, and I guess make-believe would be the third alternative, right? No, this is something we have to do. We have the greatest wealth in the world, and we want to be able to capitalize on it, especially when it comes to safety. Okay? Thank you all very much.
You talked about the urban agenda when you ran for president the first time. You went to Baltimore.
Yeah.
What are your plans for Baltimore, a city like Baltimore? What are you trying to do to help the city rise up from the road-infested place that you...
Well, I think what I've done for the inner cities is more than any president has done for a long time. We've created opportunity zones. In fact, I did that with Tim Scott, who you know very well is, I think, a tremendous guy. It was his initiative, and he came to see me. They're having a tremendously positive impact on the inner cities, including Baltimore, including a lot of other cities that you wouldn't necessarily think. Oakland, California, is an example. We're having tremendous success in the inner cities because of the opportunity zones. Criminal justice reform, I was the one that got it. Nobody else. I mean, we had people that helped, but a group of extremely liberal Democrats came to the office and they said, we cannot get it. President Obama was unable to get it, as you know. President Bush, they were all unable to get it, and I got it. And I got it with some very conservative senators and people that wanted it to happen. And nobody else could have done it. And it's sort of interesting because they don't like mentioning my name, although I guess now people are understanding. But we got it done. We formed a coalition with some very conservative people, as you know, and some people that are very far left. And we did a thing called criminal justice reform, something that nobody thought. The Crown Prince has seen this. Nobody thought this could possibly happen. And I'm very proud of criminal justice reform. So we did that. We did the opportunity zones and a lot of other things. Our job numbers for African Americans are the best in history. You saw the new ones came out. They're even better than they were 2 months ago. Hispanic, the best in history. Asian, the best in history. Overall, they're phenomenal, the best in 51 years, and I think we'll soon be historic on that one too. The economy is doing great, and that's the best thing I can do.
Did you look at Baltimore when you flew over? Did you see...
No, when I drove through, I looked at it. We flew over, but we also know you have some sections that need a lot of help. And, you know, what people don't know, I had a great meeting with Elijah Cummings in this office very early in my tenure. And it was a meeting on drug prices. And I saw him get emotional talking about drug prices, seriously emotional. And I was really impressed. He cared about it. And I would certainly be willing to meet with Elijah and other people if they'd like. But I saw the emotion and the feeling that he had for reducing drug prices. And we've worked hard, and we've actually had the first year in 51 years where prices went down. But we can get them down much further if we can get the help from Congress. So I think we're going to do much lower drug prices over the next year. And I think that if Elijah Cummings would want help, I am here. But I did see him at a moment that was actually, I thought, a very beautiful moment. I've talked about it often because I see the political rhetoric every once in a while. And I said, that's not the same guy I had in my office. I was a very caring man that wanted to see drug prices lower. And he wanted that for the community, for his community. So I look forward to working with Elijah, but I look forward to working with a lot of people. But I think opportunity zones have been tremendous for the inner cities. And criminal justice reform is something we're very proud of. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think I have to do outside now, do I? Do I have to do outside? Can I go directly? Can I go directly to the helicopter now? I'll stop by. I'll stop by. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the president was the Crown Prince of Bahrain here on a day he seemed to be hinting, as his authorities have been saying, that those attacks on Saudi Arabia and their oil fields were perpetrated by the Iranians. He said they're still looking into it and still planning a response. But all of this, of course, on a day when news of that alone shook the oil market, shook our stock market. but not as much as you would think. For example, the price of crude oil today, though up, the biggest daily advance we've seen in about a decade. In the scheme of things, it's about half the kind of a gain that you would expect, and typically we have seen in the past during the 70s oil crises or any of the other events in the Middle East that have usually seen a doubling, tripling, or quadrupling, as was the case in the last crisis. In such prices. That's why even though we interrupted what had been an 8 straight day advance in the Dow Jones Industrials, it was contained today with a 140% fall off. I expect it was a lot more. In those days, it would have been a lot more. That was then. It's a very different environment now. But the question is, what is the administration going to do now regarding what happened in Saudi Arabia and Iran apparently behind it? John Roberts at the White House with the very latest. Hey, John.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. And I think what happens to oil prices depends on what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours. You heard the president there saying it's looking like Iran, but when he was pressed on it, he was very specific to say, I didn't say it was Iran. So the president there being very, very careful to say it is not necessarily Iran, even though it's looking that way. But yesterday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo issued a statement pretty much definitively saying it was Iran. Saudi Arabia is certainly pointing fingers in that direction as well, in a statement saying, quote, initial investigations have indicated that the weapons used in the attack were Iranian weapons. Investigations are still ongoing to determine the source of the attack. President Trump saying on a number of occasions there this afternoon that he does not want conflict with Iran, but that if it came down to that, the U.S. has got the strongest military in the world and would prevail. The president said at one point, I'm not looking to get into a new conflict, but sometimes you have to. Some Democrats are suggesting this morning that a retaliatory strike against Iran may be in the cards. Listen to what Delaware Senator Chris Coons said earlier today on Fox News.
Iran is one of the most dangerous state sponsors of terrorism. This may well be the thing that calls for military action against Iran, if that's what the intelligence supports.
But Utah Senator Mitt Romney saying if there is military action against Iran, the United States should not directly be a part of it. Romney tweeting, quote, direct engagement by U.S. military in response to Iran's attacks on Saudi oil infrastructure would be a grave mistake. The U.S. has continued arms sales so Saudi Arabia can defend itself. If Saudi Arabia responds against Iran attacks, the United States should be ready to support in a non-kinetic role. So again, what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours really could tell the tale as to what happens in Iran and to oil prices as well. By the way, at the same time all of this is going on, Neil, another attempt to obtain the president's tax returns. This time the Manhattan District Attorney has subpoenaed the president's accounting firm, Mazars USA, demanding 8 years of personal and corporate tax returns going all the way back to 2011. Mazars confirming the subpoenas in a statement to Fox News saying, quote, Mazars USA will respect the legal process and fully comply with its legal obligations. The subpoenas were issued last month in connection with the Manhattan District Attorney investigation into payments that were made to Stormy Daniels during the election. But this might indicate a significant expansion of that investigation, Neil, because if you were just looking into Stormy Daniels and the payment to the Playboy Playmate as well, wouldn't you only want the years 2016 and maybe 2017? Why would you go all the way back to 2011? Now, when Congress was looking for the same information, the Trump Organization came out and sued in court to block that. So far, no word from the Trump Organization as to how they might respond to the issuance of these subpoenas. Yep.
John Roberts, thank you very, very much. So what to do now about Iran if it indeed is behind these attacks on the Saudi oil fields? Wyoming Republican Senator John Barraza, he sits, by the way, on the Foreign Relations Committee, on what he thinks we should do right now. Senator, good to have you. What do we do?
Thank you, Neil. Well, first, Iran is a terrorist nation. It is a global threat, and I agree with the president. We don't want Iran. We have the strongest military in the history of the world.
Oh, shoot.
If an attack is necessary, he will make that ultimate decision. But I will tell you two things. Number one is we need to make sure Iran